Hi guys, to begin, I am so sorry for music. My brother, his room is right next to mine, and no matter how many times I asked him, he doesn't want to shut it off, so we're just gonna ignore that. So I found many things interesting about what we read. Actually, this is my most favorite text journal that I've read so far because it connects very profoundly to me. And so what I found really interesting, and also Jen mentioned this in the SI, but I didn't really click into my head until she actually verbalized it, was how the sperm and egg are actually described in the researches that Martin used to write her journal, in contrast to how they actually are and how they act. Martin mentions this in her journal, how although 3 revised research have been conducted during the time that she was writing her journal on egg and sperm, they give a more active role to the egg, but because of that, they portray the egg as a more aggressive and dangerous character. As to how it used to be before, more passive and fragile. And so, in page 493, the researchers of Johns Hopkins say that the reason why the egg and the sperm sticks is because the egg traps the sperm and adheres to it so tightly that the sperm's head is forced to lie flat against the surface of the sona. And Martin mentioned this earlier in her journal, how the egg is represented as the femininity of character of the woman, and the sperm is represented as the masculinity of the men. And having this idea in mind, using with the passage that I just read, Martin even states that the way they are describing how the eggs trap the sperm to be connected to the sona makes the female sound controlling. And by saying that the egg does this with force adds the idea that the women are aggressive as well, which making this revision, these are just one of the examples, it didn't change the stereotypical view of women. Instead, it changed it from women being presented as fragile and needed to be rescued into aggressive and dominant in a very bad, possessing, controlling, dangerous, trapping way. So both perspectives demean women, even though they're very much different. So the example of showing how women are viewed as damsel in distress is actually on page 490, where it says that the egg is passive, which means it must depend on sperm for rescue, whereas the sperm is on a mission to go through the female genitalia tract in quest of the ovum, stressing how an egg would die in a few hours because of how fragile they are if they aren't rescued from death by the sperm, which contradicts what was mentioned in the same text of how both the egg and the sperm actually die in a couple of hours. The sperm is described with so much power by saying that they're heroic and that they're going to save the egg from dying, because they're so weak and fragile that they need to be rescued, and they depend on the sperm. The same text. It comes to find out that the sperm is actually very weak. That was very, very interesting. In the John Hopkins study, the same one from the one that talks about the egg being the reason to why the sperm is trapped in the sona, it is explained that the mechanical force of a sperm's tail is so weak that a sperm cannot break even one mechanical strand. Meaning that that idea that sperm is heroic is actually false, because the sperm isn't as heroic or powerful as how most scientists from the past described it to be, since the sperm is so weak to break what was believed the impenetrable barrier that the sona had, was believed to have, to slowly work its way through the ovum. So really, the sperm isn't that big of a power, doesn't have that much power as how many scientists portrayed it to have. It even says that it was believed that the sperms had a very forceful penetration in the head, and even this theory was proven to be wrong, because it was shown that the sperm doesn't have a forceful thrust on the head. Instead, it just moves forward or backward. Instead, they have good force moving sideways. So even if the sperm was able to have the force of breaking the sona, they wouldn't be able to thrust it. They would instead be able to move side to side, which gives the idea that the sperm, this is what scientists believe, that sperm doesn't break the sona. Instead, it probably escapes the egg that it's trapped in. Again, giving the message how women are these people who just trap men into something that they don't want. Again, demeaning the woman into being viewed as dominant towards the men, weakening them, and making men look as a victim, giving a bad impression of the woman. Instead of being viewed as weak from before, now they're viewed as overtaking the power of men and leaving them sort of powerless, I guess, since now they're weak and not viewed as heroic anymore. So no matter how much researchers have tried to revise the characteristics of the egg and sperm, it always leads to the detriment of the woman, where in reality the egg and sperm actually work together, and one doesn't dominate the actions of the other, as described in many research. Martin challenges scientists' views and description of sperm and egg by explaining how those views actually affect how women are looked and treated in society. So Martin introduces how the sexual characteristics and descriptions of the humans or females' organs actually affect how she's viewed in society, and she really empowers feminism. So, yeah, that is all. Thank you.